And we're live. Welcome back to another episode of Soulful Sips. I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Julie.
And it's Christmas! Or almost Christmas. It's Christmas season.
Almost. We've got, yes, very close. Well, it's been Christmas for Alyssa for 4 months
Since
now.
August, yeah. It's the best
Why do
time
you
of
like
year.
Christmas so much? What is it for you?
It's just so magical. It's the most magical time of the year. It really is. And it's just about togetherness. And I don't know, just seeing all the lights everywhere. And just don't you just think of cozy when you think of Christmas?
I do. And I also really love Christmas. I'm like the type of person that will say November 1st and put up the Christmas tree and all the decorations. But I've never met anyone that starts Christmas music
In August.
in August. That's just another level. So I wish to be eye open about it.
They're out there. There's a whole community.
I'm sure there is. I really am.
No,
But you don't get
no.
sick of it.
I mean, maybe it has a correlation of I don't know
Oh, wow.
how mentally unstable I am that I have to start looking forward to Christmas
Oh my God.
since August.
Oh, but I do believe that Christmas, or I guess just more generally, holiday season does get you through
Yeah.
the colder weather. In which case, when I was in Canada, I always wished that Christmas was sometime in February, because that's when things get
and
really
dreary.
gloomy. So having something to look forward to then would be nice. Or I mean, you could always celebrate Christmas whenever.
That's true.
Holidays.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But what are you sipping on today for our Christmas episode?
Oh yes, what are our drinks? What did I say last time? Guava.
It's a freaking guava,
Okay, it's
man.
not guava. This is 매실 plum, like a Asian plum tea. 매실차.
It's very Korean of you.
Yeah, it is quite Korean of me. Although the reason I am drinking it more so now than before is I have a generally weak digestive system, so I feel nauseous quite often. And when I was at my niece and nephew, so my brother-in-law's place,
Oh no.
I tell my sister-in-law that, I'm not really feeling well. And she goes oh my God, really? And then she was I have also a really weak digestive system, and this plum tea does it for me. I've made it myself. Do you want to try it? I was like, I'll take anything right now, because I don't think I could keep anything down. But if you say it, I want to believe. And after I had it, the moment it just went into my system, I already felt refreshed. It's kind of a mintier feeling inside, when it's inside. And then after, I don't know what properties of it helps with digestion, but it really helped me after. So I've been now having it as a preventative measure as well. And it's really helped.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So if anyone is listening and has issues with their digestion, try plum tea. Maybe it'll help.
Yeah, it is. I think it's because part of it is fermented, so it might be the probiotics. But yeah, I highly recommend to at least give it a shot. Yeah.
Good for gut health, sounds like.
Yeah, sounds like it. So that's my story about my plum tea. What do you think?
Thank you for that. For that nutrition lesson. I'm sipping on something much less healthy and educational, but I actually got a cappuccino today, which is kind of off brand for me, because I'm usually just straight black coffee.
Wow. But why the cappuccino?
Yeah, this cappuccino. Well, I got it from a gal that I met in the summer. We were working on a job together, and it's a Singaporean brand. It's kind of like Singapore's version of Nesquik, I guess, but it's 1,000 times better. And it's thicker, a thicker chocolatey taste. And it comes with little chocolate crumbles that you can put on top of it.
That sounds festive.
It just feels like a warm hug. And I've been savoring it since the summer so I could have it during the holiday season. Yeah, that's it's kind of my thing.
You could probably have drinks that are set for 2028.
I really, yeah, when it comes to specialty drinks, I just take it very seriously. It's very on brand for this podcast, I feel like.
Yeah, that is true. So it's actually on brand. It's not, I mean, black coffee is black coffee, but this cappuccino is different. What's the brand of this drink?
That's a good question. It's called like Top Cappuccino, like TOP. But if
Oh,
you look up like Singapore instant cappuccino,
uh huh.
that's yeah.
Oh, I'm very intrigued.
Because usually when you think of instant stuff, you just think like not the greatest quality,
Right.
but this one is like it is so good.
Oh, okay. I have to look this up. Shopping.
Yeah.
Purchase. Oh, I've seen this one. I've seen because the
Right with the
packaging looks
red,
like
green.
Copico, and it like
Yeah,
feels very warm and snuggly. I know what you mean by a hug
yeah,
now.
yeah.
I
So well, that's my sip.
didn't.
Saved it for today.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Speaking of cappuccino, uh, have you heard of iced cappuccino before from Canada?
No, no.
Okay, so ice cap is what we call it, and
Oh, actually, I think I have heard of Ice Cap.
oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
when you say
Tim
ice cap,
Hortons.
that rings a
Yeah.
bell.
So we don't really call it ice cappuccino. Ice cap from Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons came into Seoul, and that's been like just a couple weeks. So I was really looking forward to it being like hella lit and lineups, just like when Five Guys opened.
Yeah, yeah.
And I by chance walked past it a couple days ago, and there's a security guard there with like the strips of like the line strips, right? And nobody is lined up. The security guard's bored out of his mind.
Oh no.
Oh, so I felt kind of sad for Tim Hortons. There's not as much craze and hype around the brand as some of the American brands. So I'm not one about sweets, but I will actually have the odd ice cap. It's not lactose intolerant though, so there are side effects. That said, even
But it's like
those
a
who are
it's like a
lactose, yeah,
yeah, it's like a cultural favorite. Like a
yes,
cultural
yes, there is definitely, and
that makes sense.
honestly, there's no drink like the ice cap anywhere that I've ever had before. So it's quite nice to have it in
Mm.
Korea now.
Where is the Tim Hortons is it in Gangnam?
Yeah, it's in Gangnam. It's that
Uh-huh.
road
Okay. I will.
between the two main stations, the north south road. Yeah. So
That
they've
that
got a
tells
really
me absolutely
well.
nothing.
They've got a really good location. That's really my point,
I see.
and they
Okay,
should
okay,
be
okay.
doing well, but they're not. So that makes me sad.
Maybe they'll be our first brand partnership because we're the only one
Yeah,
doing PR for them.
exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is free. Oh my gosh, I should have arranged for that for our partnership before
For
announcing it. But
our
yeah, this is
5 followers.
it'll be 500 soon, very
Hopefully,
soon.
hopefully that's our goal,
How
right?
soon, I don't know. Yeah, that's right. That's the goal. Well, that was quite the opening about drinks and ice cap and so end of year. How are you doing? How are you? What are some of the bigger things that you're reflecting on as you think about what you were expecting in January versus what you are up to
Oh
now?
geez, we're going from ice caps like straight into it. Like no,
Oh
no middle
yeah,
ground. All
sorry.
good, all good.
You're the more better transitions, but I want to
No,
practice.
all good, all good. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
um, yeah, end of year. I mean, end of year always feels a little bit chaotic. I think we mentioned this in our kind of last seasonal episode too, when we were just about to enter the fall, and I feel like I blinked and all of a sudden it's the end of December. So that's a little bit crazy. I recently moved. I'm still in Seoul, but I moved to a different area of Seoul. And this time last year, I was also frantically figuring out my life to move from the States to Korea. So know. I don't really know if I had as many expectations going into the end of this year and beginning of next year, as I typically would in terms of like solid goals and solid path that I saw for myself. I think for me, it was really just like trying to get by every day, more about survival, to be very honest with you. But yeah, I think this year for me, the biggest change is I feel like I've been more trusting of whatever the process is. And I've kind of been leaning more into uncertainty, which is not easy for someone like me who very much likes to kind of plan their lives ahead. It's like anticlimactic, but in the best way. Cause yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of leaning into to letting things go with the flow more, at least attempting to.
Which, yeah, which I have so much respect for you about, because it's so different to say that you're like adjusting and going with the flow, but another to actually live it the day to day when you are so used to and do prioritize and favor having a plan and subsequent steps. Uh, I'd say I can relate because I've kind of dabbled in kind of that ambiguity, but I
Mhm.
don't think I've been able to take it with as much grace and strength as you have, to
Mm,
actually be able to let it go into uncertainty, accept that it's life, and be able to find yourself through it all. It's
yeah.
so it's tough. It's really tough, and you've actually really done it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate that. I think
Mm,
it's so tough, especially at this time of the year, because I mean, on top of, all of the magic and the love and the warmth of the holiday season, this is the time of year where everybody starts talking about end of the year reflections and everybody starts talking about, next year's goals. And you do kind of feel somewhat of that urgency to put a bow on everything that's happened this year and then like present, what your projections are for next year. And for me, I don't know. I just think there is also a beauty in like leaning back a little bit and realizing that what's happened in the past has already happened, and then what's going to happen in the future is going to happen regardless of whether you're worrying or not about it. So for me, it's just trying to worry less and stress less about things that have already happened, and the things that haven't happened yet. Which for someone that has a good amount of anxiety is not easy, and I don't do it well all the time. But yeah, I mean, having friends to support me through it definitely helps a lot. And
oh man. I mean, it might not feel. I mean, I think you mentioned it's been anticlimactic. Was it the word
mm,
that you used?
mm,
But that's on an external basis, right? In terms of what you believe should be the goal by this time that you have accomplished and
mm-hmm,
achieved.
mm-hmm,
But internal wise, in building your own self and being able to have a healthier way through life is a huge milestone.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think you've done so great going through this year and becoming even better from it.
yeah. And it's hard to look at yourself objectively, right? Because it's like if we
Mm.
were to answer this question for the other person, I feel like we would have very different like answers. Because I mean, for the both of us, we really have accomplished so much in this year. Um,
Mm.
and this podcast being one of them, like the fact that we picked it up, didn't know what the hell we were doing, and we're still kind of going at it, like knowing that we're going to have to
Mm.
put in a lot of groundwork before we actually gain
Mhm.
momentum, but still taking it seriously, like that's not easy at all.
Mm.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Like at the starting of the year, at the start of this year, we met in what, March? Was it?
February.
February?
Hmm.
Sorry. God, dates don't break up with me.
It's okay, I'll let it slide this time.
Okay. February. February. Got it. February. Uh, yeah, February. And then we talked about this idea of the podcast the second time we hung out, I think. Or was it the
Mm.
first?
Definitely was. It was a
First time
couple
we
times.
met?
Yeah,
Oh,
we had
yeah.
hung out a couple times before. Yeah,
Okay. Oh, yes, because our conversations were like hours and hours on
yeah,
end
yeah, yeah,
to the
yeah,
point where it was hard to believe that we're both introverts because we'd spend the whole day
yeah.
just talking.
Hmm,
Yeah,
hmm.
that was a really great honeymoon phase. And then we're like, okay, you know what? We should at least have mics out and try to record some of our conversations because this is so fun. And to be able to do this for real would be so meaningful. Uh, and then we started to purchase equipment, create some content calendaring, get things rolling. So it's crazy to think that things are actually out in the ether now as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think when we talked
Mm,
about it that day, like what amazes me about that moment in time was I definitely get very stuck in like the conceptual phase, especially when it comes to something like this, where it's like you're putting yourself out there and being in a new being in a foreign country and also being in a new friendship, I think really helped me feel more comfortable in diving kind of headfirst in an endeavor like this. Because I think if I was back home, I'd overthink it a lot more. Like, oh, like what are people
mm,
going to think? Like this is going to feel so random. Like what value do my thoughts have? But the fact that we were so fresh with each other. So like our perspectives and our thoughts came out so much more authentically because it's like we didn't have any background context of who we were before we met each other.
mm, mm.
So the fact that we were able to kind of take action right away, whatever burst of inspiration that got us to do that, and whatever burst of bravery, like that's off to the
Yeah.
universe for giving us that timing.
I think it was really special though because it was one of those things where it's like, are you sure you really want to do it? No, are you sure? If you're sure, I'm sure. And then oftentimes it doesn't, things don't happen, right? And the time that it took, or like the effort that it took to get there, was anxiety for me because it's just like another thing that another obstacle that we might not
Yeah,
overgo in order to approach the start line. So it was a lot of like, I really hope this happens, and I'm really optimistic that it'll happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So I don't know. But yeah.
I think we were both aware that if we did not maintain the momentum of the kind of
Mm.
inspiration that we had, that it could very easily fall into one of those things where it's like nothing ever happened. So I think that day we went and like got tripods. Like I already had my camera.
We did.
We like ordered mics like the next day. Like yeah, it ended up happening really fast. But I think what happens also when you're creating content is your concept of time kind of gets warped because like we've been setting up these recordings and talking about all these ideas and we had this like archive, and by the time we finally got it out into the world it's like we had already kind of been doing this for a while. So like to us, it's like
Mm.
we're very familiar with this space and what we want to put out. But to anyone that's listening, I can see from a listener's perspective how it could feel a little bit like there was not a lot of lead up. So
Mm.
as we talk about reflections and transitioning into the new year, and as our podcast is still kind of nurturing it,
Yeah.
I think this would be a really good time to reflect back on like the roots of why this podcast even started. But yeah, I think it would be a really good time for us to kind of reintroduce ourselves again through like, this channel and like what we're hoping to get out of it as we
Mm.
enter the new year and hopefully grow our baby into maybe a little teenager.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. I guess that's my toss over to introduce
Go
myself.
for it.
Okay. So where should I begin? Hi, I'm Julie. Good start so far. uh, so right now, what I'm doing in Korea is I am a coach in professional development. So helping individuals be better at work. That's more on the soft skills part. So being able to actively have meetings or find their confidence or being able to network. But that's actually been on the back burner more so versus an opportunity that recently came up for me in the startup space to do some startup mentoring, particularly in presentations. So, helping Korean startups be able to prepare for investor pitches. A lot of this coaching slash mentoring had been born out of an interest in trying to understand people and get a better understanding of also myself through it all. And this is all very more self-helpy type of journey, which I think is a lifelong thing. I'm not in no longer in the phase that I used to be with the whole, following the Silicon Valley type of mindset, but really just trying to be interested and learn about different types of people, what kinds of conversations makes business actually flow. So a lot more in the professional space than the personal space. And I think that this podcast and the idea of it is something that I was always intrigued about because I wanted to learn more about people, but not just through my own lens, but through someone else's. So, I mean, you'll hear more about what Alyssa does, and you'll also have heard how Alyssa thinks, but she's very clear-minded, insightful, thinks deeply and a lot. And I appreciate the types of perspectives that she brings because it really rounds me out. I'm more of a linear, literal thinker. And this kind of relates back to MBTI. I don't have as much of that complex internalization type of function as Alyssa does. So for me to be able to constantly hear her perspective is something that I don't take for granted and that I want to, at least through the podcast, regularly hear. And so hopefully through this, we will continue to grow ourselves and also bring more people onto the podcast and learn about their perspectives as well. That's me. What about you, Alyssa? Who are
That was
you?
so thoughtful and well said. Um, but yeah, and so Julia, you're born and raised, or no, you're born in Korea but raised in Canada, right?
That's right. So I was born in Korea, went to Canada when I was 5. Yeah, and I've been in Korea, a year, just over a year
Over a
now.
year now. Nice. Nice.
Yes.
All right. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Alyssa. I was born and raised in the States, now in Korea. Also, almost hitting my 1 year anniversary as well in Korea. So, I came a couple months after Julie
Yeah.
did. And I have worked in the startup tech space for most of my career. And that's actually what brought me to Korea in the first place. So, I was working for a streaming service here. Didn't have the greatest experience at that company. So then I ended up actually leaving shortly after, which was a huge risk for me to take after just moving to a foreign country specifically for this job as an expat. And it was kind of a dream opportunity for me, but I got to a point where I felt like I would really be compromising my mental as well as physical health if I stayed. So I did make the decision to walk away. And during that whole kind of turmoil and kind of tumultuous time, that's when I had met Julie. And right off the bat, she was kind of like my pillar of support through that whole process because she had really met me when I was at a really kind of low point in my life and had a lot of uncertainty. But what was really clear right off the bat was that we just connected on such a deep level for not knowing each other very long at all. And I'm always so flattered when Julie makes comments about how she thinks that I am insightful and like appreciates my perspectives because if you're in my head, it's just like mass chaos all the time. So I always think that my thoughts come out as chaotic as they feel, but apparently in Julie's eyes, that's not how
Not
she
at all.
sees it.
No.
But to Julie's point, like, yeah, I do have a lot of thoughts And I think I've always wanted to somehow get those thoughts out into the world, regardless of how many people listen to them. I just think I like to believe that there is some value in them and that there's someone out there that can relate to the things that I go through and how I handle them. But being in Seoul it really has been, as cheesy as it sounds, kind of a soul searching journey for me so far. And I'm definitely still on it. And I took a break from tech for a little bit to kind of recalibrate, and I did some work in marketing for a while, and realized that I kind of miss being back in the tech space. So I'm hoping to get back into that going into the new year. And I think for this podcast, for us, the main thing is we want to keep it authentic. And the reason why we connected in the first place was because our conversations were so unfiltered and so authentic, and we really created that safe space for each other. And I think just being able to put that into a wider audience, hopefully in 2024 we can continue to grow that.
Of course, it's reflective in classic Alyssa style.
It's so funny though, because when you mentioned that you don't have as much of the internal processing, like all I know is internal processing, which is why I think we have such good conversations, is because we're so opposite really in the way that we communicate and in the way that we perceive things. So
Yeah,
it's really good for me to have someone like Julie, who
yeah.
is a little bit more of like a linear thinker and like has more structure in the way she perceives things, because then it kind of snaps me out of the web of thoughts that I have and kind of puts things a little bit more into perspective for me. And then it's like vice versa with Julie.
Yeah, completely. Like, I'm so linear, and then you actually put, like, details and intricacy and actual personality behind what I'm observing, and I learned so much. Like, "Whoa, what? You see that? You can feel that? Oh my god, you're right. That's what I was feeling. I just didn't know I was where it was coming from."
um but yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a little bit of background about us. And then I feel like we should do a shout out or like a mention of MJ as well.
Oh, of course.
MJ is
Yeah.
another kind of regular and another pillar of Soulful Sips. But MJ is currently in New York, living her New York corporate finance girly, like fabulous life. And
Mhm.
MJ is actually a good friend of Julie, so that's how I was able to meet MJ. And yeah, she's also kind of someone that is amazingly on the same wavelength as both of us, and also has so much insight and intellect and just so articulate. And she's someone that we're really happy to have a part of Soulful Sips. And because of the obvious time difference and geographical difference, we can't have MJ on every single episode, but she still very much is just as important of a part of Soulful Sips. And yeah, we're really happy to have her.
We love you, MJ.
We love you,
Yeah.
MJ.
It's so funny because through this experience, through the podcasting, I I brought MJ on as like my friend, and then all of a sudden there's like two Alyssas or like two MJs talking to me at the same time.
MJ and I do tend to have
Oh my
very,
god!
very similar
Yeah.
like paths of thoughts, like stream of consciousness. I feel like she's like
Which
my
is
New
so
York
funny,
half.
and I love
Yeah.
that for you guys, and I would love that for us, like for me as well. The things that you get concerned about, bringing another friend in and having that be a
Yeah.
part of something more business or long term based. You do want to be a bit more careful, and I just had this belief that I think that this would work with the three of us. And if you haven't listened to our episodes, like please do. They're so entertaining.
It's so funny because like adult friendships, especially as you're approaching your 30s, is not easy. Especially
Agreed.
for especially for two introverts.
Yeah, totally
Um
agreed.
well, I mean, honestly, introvert or extrovert, like agnostic, I feel like adult friendships are hard in general, because if you
That's
don't
true. Like
have
close
a
friendships, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like if you don't have like a common context to share with that person, it's like you really have to put out the extra effort to maintain and kind of build that friendship. So yeah.
agreed. Agreed. And there's a lot of background and a lot of like priorities, things that you don't feel that you need to explain that you want a friend to already have as their own value
Mhm.
basis. And having those standards makes it a lot harder. But you also know for yourself that if you don't have those type of things as requirements, then the relationship just might not be there for you. And so to be able for even just you and I to have found each other in Seoul in a completely new country, like we were both like a few months into the country
Yeah.
and still going strong. So I think it's very special that we're able to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like how we even met and became close, I feel like is so serendipitous.
I know
Just
the
even
fact
thinking back at
that
it, I just think it's so funny. We have a really good love story. Yeah. Yeah. So going into the new year
Mm.
then, I guess, are you the type of person that does New Year's resolutions and like goal setting?
I personally don't.
Oh, that's actually really surprising.
Uh, and my reason had been because I just set them throughout the year. So they're like, why do it through at New Year's? And I'm also just not too
Mm.
much of a special day type of person, like celebrating special occasions at all. So I'll be the type to like sleep through the New Year 12 a.m. thing. So a lot of it combined, I just typically don't feel the excitement as much. Like Christmas, like holiday season, is like a whole extended period of time. It's a whole environment, decorations all around. So I feel that, but New Year's not too much. How about you?
Mm.
Mm,
You really aren't like a day, like you don't over index on like the importance of like a specific day. I have noticed that about
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Because even when I was, cause it's like in the late summer or fall when you were like, oh, like me and Opa forgot that it was our anniversary. You guys just like went out to like a casual dinner.
yeah,
And then I was like, what are you going to do for Christmas? Like, do you have your tree up? Do you have plans? Are you guys going to do something as a family? And you're like, oh, like we don't really
yeah,
want to do
yeah. We
anything.
don't. And you know what? Like we could do a better job of taking care
Okay.
of it because
Yeah.
those type of milestones that keep you in check, right? Oh, right. It helps you reflect and celebrate. And I love that. I think I am trying to do more of that. So, for example, like last week, or
Yeah.
actually the other day, we celebrated me finishing more of my programs on the startup mentoring for this
Hmm.
year. So, we did, I don't know, just like a random restaurant. Went and I bought a
Yeah.
glass of
Yeah.
wine. Not too different from any other day, but
From,
at least it was there
but
with
you
the
put,
intention. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You put a meaning
That's
behind
right,
it.
exactly.
I mean, to your point, I see both sides of it because with to your point about the whole goal setting thing, you should be setting goals throughout the year. Like you shouldn't wait for like a single day. Same thing with special occasions. If you're with a partner or even with family, like you should be wanting to treat them special throughout the year, like not just one day. So I understand that end of things too, but I do think that there is some magic in keeping kind of a ritual on specific days, but I think I always have an idea in my mind of the goals that I have going into the next year, but I don't do like a formal, like sit down, write out my goals. Like it's not a whole ritual for me. And my reason for not doing it, I think, may sound a little bit more superficial, but I've always felt that it was a little bit performative,
Mm.
the whole act of New Year's goal setting, because I'm not against goal setting, but I think I more lean on how you approach it of like if I want to set a goal for myself, like I want to do it with intent.
Yeah, I think the new year also is great in that it forces you to be more reflective and look back at yourself and like gives you that moment or that cue to do it more so at more depth than you typically would have throughout the year. So I love
Hmm.
that intent and
Hmm.
I love that that exists as a practice. So not saying anything bad about anyone that's actually partaking in it. Um, yeah, I just hope that more people do it more often. And I'm not even saying I live my best life and I always do this by any in any stretch. But it's a really nice practice, and I think that New Year's is one of them to help you reflect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it's something that helps you recalibrate and reset for the year, I think it's a really obviously I think it's really great practice. I think what where I see some of the potential harm in it is people that feel really pressured to have to
Mm,
have these like magnificent goals and magnificent milestones, and I don't know, maybe it's because we just grew up in that culture, in that environment where it's like you just always had to be shooting for the stars at every moment in your life, and there was never any like moments of rest.
mm, that is very true. I'm curious when you mentioned that you got back into journaling. What
Mhm.
had prodded you to start again?
With journaling, and I've talked to other people about this who have had similar sentiments, but I feel like it's always easier to journal there's when you have more like unease or uncertainty in your life, because when things are going well, you're a lot less inclined to have to write it down, right?
Mm,
So I've been kind of trying to not do that. And I've taken a little bit of pressure off of myself for journaling because, very true to my nature, when I would approach journaling before, I would still feel like I would have to curate what I'm writing and make the ritual aesthetic, I guess. But now I literally just have a notebook that I've used forever. And I get up, I walk to my table with my notebook on it, and I'll put the date. And sometimes I write just like 2 lines of either what I'm feeling, what I felt the last day, what I'm excited about for the day, what I'm nervous about for the day, just anything that's on my mind. And then I kind of go about my morning routine. But I don't make it this thing where I have to sit down and journal for 20 minutes with no distractions. Like I don't put that pressure on myself anymore. And it's been really
oh,
nice.
that's good. It's
Yeah.
nice that you put it beside your bedside table so it's your thing as you exit your bed. Mm. It's really important, I think, to have something so accessible to be part of your routine and not chain yourself to a certain type of time commitment.
Yeah.
I think I should start doing that again as well. I used to journal a lot more often during the summer, and then as I
Hmm.
got busier, I just didn't have enough mind space to have any level of routine, which was a negative feedback loop. But I really
Mm-hmm.
have been wanting to go back and having less pressure about how long I should sit down for or how much I should write actually does help. So I think I'll take a page out of your book, your journal, and then do
Yeah.
the 2 lines. Yeah, every morning.
Yeah. It's really nice. Like especially for the past like couple weeks, like I'll put on a Christmas playlist to get my day started. And then
Oh,
I'll like light a candle and I'll write a couple lines and then I'll just go about my day. And I don't do
awesome.
that every single day, obviously. Um, but yeah, it's just like a little pocket of time that I'm doing something just for myself, and then the rest of the day can be chaos and stressful. But yeah.
That's true. I actually turned on a candle and read a book today. That was so good. I haven't done that in like 3 months now.
Was
So it
it a
was really
self
nice.
help book?
No, it was uh, it's more of like an economy business book.
Of course.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, if that fills your cup, then
Yes, it
all
definitely.
the power to you.
I see it's a it depends on who's listening or yes, this is definitely my healing. I was very happy and very satisfied this morning.
I think like I've the reason I'm kind of poking fun of you is
Mm.
I've been kind of trying to make it a point recently because I also have a lot of um, like work related books or like self help related books, but I don't feel like they necessarily relax me.
Oh.
So I've been trying to make it a point to, if I do want to sit down and have like a cozy like reading time, to read something that is not of that nature. So reading either like poetry or just like even just fiction novels, just to get back into that kind of more, I don't know, creative. based, like more healing and like
Mm,
storytelling side of things. And I really think that helps with my day to day too.
no, I totally agree. Oh man, what kind of goals do you have otherwise? Then, even if like, despite of like New Year's, anything that you want to get better at or
Yeah.
want to set for yourself?
Yeah. Going into the new year. Um, I think for me, I would really love to go into 2024 just continuing on the journey that I have been on of just giving myself more grace than I have in the past. So just being like kinder to myself, and not dwelling so much on things that have happened in the past because I'm very much a past thinker. A past thinker and a future warrior is kind of the
Mm,
best way to describe where my mind always is. And I think I miss a lot of what happens in the moment and what could potentially happen in the present because of that. But on a more kind of less conceptual note, my parents are going to come visit Korea
yeah.
in the summer, so I'm really excited for that. So I'm already starting to plan like
Oh my
what
God, I'm so
what we
excited
should
for you.
do and the whole itinerary. So I really want to make that trip special for them because it's been a while since I've seen them, and I'm really close to my parents. And I think career wise, 2023 has taught me a lot about what I'm willing to tolerate in my career and what my goals are career wise. I'm getting to a point where it's like I want a career where I feel like I am fulfilled and have some purpose, but I don't want it to become all consuming of my entire life. I definitely have other endeavors like this podcast and just other things that I think I can put out into the world other than just career. So yeah, that was kind of all over the place, but that's just where my head is
No,
for
not
next
at
year.
all. It was not all over the place by any means. I'm here thinking like, oh, I think I should set that kind of goal for myself, but I'm not confident that I'll be able to get better at it at all. But I do need it for myself
Mm,
as well. It's
yeah,
so hard
yeah.
to be kinder
It's
to
always a good
yourself.
goal to have. Yeah,
Yeah, it is a good goal to
it
have.
really is.
Yeah. Yeah. It telling yourself it's okay to not deliver is so whack.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how can I?
It's really counterintuitive.
Yeah. Yeah, working on it. Not easy. Not something that I can. I mean, okay, so great goals. I really think that you will achieve them and that you already have been doing such a great job this year. And I can't wait to see mom. I will be drinking ice wine with her. So
Oh, she'll be so excited for that.
that will be great. For me and my goals, I would say I have a lot of small goals. For example, I want to get better at my pronunciation in Korean. Working on that for my own confidence would be fun. And health wise, I need to eat
Mm,
healthier, as in cook more. I have started to work out a little bit more, like at home. Oh, right. Like professional wise, I'll want to build my brand more, but this is something I'm going to try to be kinder to myself about because it's not something that I've been able to
yeah,
work on too much. With thankfully the larger workload coming through from the startup space. Uh, so we'll see where that one goes. I'll go with the flow on that one.
yeah, yeah. I feel like our answers are very indicative of like this is where you kind of see the differences in our personality
Yeah,
types. Of
that is
like my
true, eh?
answer is so up in the clouds, and yours is very straight to the point, tactical, very tangible. And
True.
mine is like I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but this is kind of the general vicinity I want to go.
It's funny, you see yours as like this like aerial kind of like aloof stuff, but I
Yeah.
see it as like, oh my gosh, that's so deep and reflective. I should have this sense of complexity like you do.
Where it's like I'm like I should really break that down into more like actionable steps, but my brain just doesn't do that until I get to that point. But I will say another collective goal that we have for Soulful Sips is
Mm.
going visual podcast in 2024.
Yes.
So that's something that we're
Yeah.
actively trying to work on.
Yes.
And I think we'll bring a lot of great dynamics to the brand
Mhm.
as well to actually be able to see us in person. But that also means
Yeah.
that we will now have to go on these podcasts and look a little bit more presentable than we currently do, which I'm willing, I'm willing to take one for the team, willing to do it for the cause.
Well, I'll enjoy the offline or the non-visual while I can, and
While you
then
can.
once we're
Yeah. Yeah.
visual, I will enjoy that as well.
But I'm putting
It's
that
gonna
out
be
into the
good.
universe to keep us accountable and hopefully
Oh
we'll be
yeah,
able
we
to
will be
take
accountable.
that
We
off.
will make it happen because we
Yeah.
have made this happen. We will be
Yeah. It's
indomitable.
only another step. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just need to manage our time better. I will need to
Yeah.
manage my time better.
Yeah, man, time management, man, that has been a struggle.
And I think it will always be a struggle, especially like because I'm pretty sure I have ADHD, but that's for another episode.
Yeah, it's tough, eh? Well, not that I can say how difficult it is, but it's not easy.
But okay, so to wrap up then, um, on a little bit of a light and festive note, do you have any like Christmas rituals that you usually do? Or like holiday rituals? It doesn't have to be on Christmas Day. It can just be like anything that you enjoy around this time of year.
My immediate answer is no, but let me think.
Do you want me to tell my rituals and while you think?
Yeah, you know what? That would be great.
Okay.
Save me. What's yours?
Okay, so aside from like always putting up my decorations like at the end of pretty much at the end of October, this year I obviously wasn't able to put up a tree because I was moving in December, but I did put up like a little bit of a Christmassy decor in my apartment and it these twinkle lights that light up. I don't know. It's a very minimalist Christmas decoration thing, but that made me really happy. But in terms of rituals, if I was at home in the States, my tradition is I usually get my family matching PJs. So I
Oh my
usually
god,
get,
that's so
yeah,
cute.
yeah, I do the matching PJs for all of them. It's been a couple years now, so I need to renew it pretty soon. But what we typically do is I will usually host a Christmas brunch. So, because like at Christmas, I feel like we always do presents at night. Like we've always done presents Christmas night. So we didn't do it Christmas Eve
Mm.
or like Christmas morning. So the morning always felt really empty for me as a kid because it was just like you were waiting around. So then when I had the means to do so, I started doing Christmas brunch as a tradition. So do the
Oh,
full
that's so
on like
special.
American breakfast and get to look at the pretty presents under the tree before we tore into it after dinner. But yeah.
Oh, you're so thoughtful.
Yeah. So now this year will
Oh,
be a
that's so
Christmas brunch
sweet.
for one, but that's okay. It's
Oh,
okay. I'll still I'll still enjoy it.
oh, oh my God, that's so nice. Oh, it's good to have a tradition, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I love that. I don't think I have anything.
Really?
Yeah. But like hearing the happiness in what you're sharing just like makes me feel like I should start do something, but knowing me, I won't do something.
Oh, how did you do Christmas at home, like in Canada? Like, did you guys get together and do presents or anything?
We didn't really. Also because my mom works in restaurants, so that's actually when
Oh,
she's not
I
home.
see.
So all of our celebrations we didn't really do with my mom. But my sister is like a lot like you, and she will do like a lot of the traditional stuff. But that said, it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe she did stuff, and I just don't remember, and I'm just being a horrible sister. But I don't think we did much. And then when I left the house, like I didn't. It was just another day.
We are doing kind of the typical like Seoul City Christmas celebration next week with Onni. We like rented out or
That's
we like
true.
reserved
We
like
are.
a Christmas place. I feel like a lot of people do that in the city though.
Yeah. That's actually thanks to you finding it and setting it up that we're doing this. So thank you. Like, I'll actually have something that I did for
Yeah,
Christmas.
so you can say that's your Christmas celebration.
That's true. Yeah, I like to go out with my friends and just have like this really cute, cozy, set up Christmas dinner.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my thing.
I mean, when you're an adult
Yeah.
and you don't have kids yet, like that's I mean, what else do you do,
Hmm.
right? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Well,
that's good.
if
Mm.
is there anything you want to say as we cuz I think this will be the last episode that we're going to put out for the year,
Oh.
or one of the last episodes, I will say. So, do you have any like closing comments
Mm.
for
Yeah. So for anyone that's listening, I would love if you can reflect on what you thought your year would be at the start of this year, and what it's like now, and really celebrate yourself in how you've grown and the ways that you've made your decisions or the things that you've been through and are a lot stronger because of. I think it's easy for us to focus on things that we don't have control over, whether it's good or bad, but then attribute that to who we are. So, hope that you'll be able to center back into yourself and really pat yourselves on the back, give yourselves a good hug, and share the love for the remainder of what's left of this year and a really good, refreshed start to next year.
Oh, that's like Coach Julie
What
coming
are
in
your
strong.
what are your closing thoughts for our listeners?
I will say it's really easy to get caught up in all of the chaos as the year wraps up. But like Julie said so beautifully, like just remember to celebrate yourself and everything that you've accomplished this year. And, don't worry about going into next year with all of these massive goals and milestones. You're going to do great no matter what. And to the friends and family that I know have listened and supported the podcast so far, we love you guys so much. And thank you for coming on this journey with us and starting it with us, and hopefully being able to watch it grow. Obviously, we wouldn't be who we are without you guys. So, for those of you that are listening, which I know you are because we have the most supportive friends and family ever, we love you guys so much. And for any new listeners that we don't know, thank you guys. And I'm so excited to continue to go on this journey with you. And happy holidays. Spend it with your loved ones. And we'll see you guys in the new year.
No, thank you. Thank you, listeners, friends, family, new people. I love
Everyone.
you all. Yay!
Oh, you know what? Should we actually explain what our closer is before we do our final?
Oh, yeah. You go for it. Sorry, did I put you on the spot? I just feel like you do so much more of an eloquent. Okay, here, let me attempt.
Okay.
I didn't want to just like throw it at you.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Sorry, I didn't mean. I just wanted to give you the credit. Okay, so 오늘도 수고했어. That means today you also did a great job, or great job today. And Alyssa, you can obviously add on, but it really is to reflect and just like what we've just mentioned, just celebrate your day, what you've done, and give yourself credit for the things that you've accomplished. I'll end it there.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that's like the literal translation of it, and also it's kind of just this acknowledgement of whatever you went through, whatever you've been through. Like it's the end of the day, you made it through, and I think that's definitely something that encompasses what we want this podcast to feel like, of friends sitting down and acknowledging that whatever you've been through, you're here now, and you're going to continue to make it through it. And yeah, that's why we have that as our closing. With that said,
오늘도
수고했어.
수고했어.
Yay! Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.